Hello there guys and welcome back to the channel. Right, today we are going to talk about a whole bunch of information that Kabam just dropped in one of the Christmas giveaway streams. Now, I'll be honest, I don't really watch those for most part, and even today I kind of tuned in by accident. Then I saw that Kabam John is the guest, and I must say that out of all the guests that I have seen on those streams, in the streams that I have covered, I think Kabam John is by far the best one. Whenever he does come on, he brings the most information, he can articulate himself the best, kind of explain the decisions and thought process behind the things, and ultimately seems just to be knowledgeable and competent at what he does, which is not something that I necessarily attribute to every single person seemingly working on the game, and I genuinely appreciate that. The man just comes across as straight to the point, knowledgeable, puts himself across clearly, and yeah, I think out of all the Kabam employees, I would probably get along with him the best. That said, he answered 12 questions, basically, that he had seen floating around. Now, there are some questions that are, suspiciously missing. For instance, addressing the ISO situation. I'm sure that has been all over the place and has not been addressed by anybody from Kabam, and a handful of others as well. But there are some interesting news and announcements. So we're going to go through the question by question. I'm going to give kind of brief, effective answers. What's up with the side quest? Well, the point is, they admit that there's a problem. He himself says that the last two side quests have been the first one in years that he himself has not explored because it didn't seem quite worth the effort for him. And I completely agree. Last two side quests also have been the first ones I haven't explored since the first iteration of Incursion side quest. So in last 4 years, I think there have been 3 side quests that I have not explored fully. This month's going to be one. Last month was one, and the first version of Incursions one was another one. And ultimately, they admit that they have stopped innovating when it comes to the side quest, and they, accept the problem and hope to improve on it. So that would be the gist and the breakdown of that. How can we keep the game novel and exciting? And here he talked about some new events and some events that we saw this year for the first time that will be making a return. He kind of teased a few more events coming that he, didn't talk too much about, but we will once again have the Legends event. We will once again have the Summoners Super Season thing, which was Cap's Enlistment event this year. Several of those will be making a return as something also completely new. They have like 3 of those in works, and one of those is definitely going to come in the game over the course of next year. There are actually several things that will be coming very, very soon to the game that, well, at least they promise very soon to the game, that we will definitely be quite interested in. And, right. What are planned events for the next year? And I kind of answered this one already with the previous question. We're going to have the Super Season back again. We're going to have the Legends event. We're going to have many of the regular events return and something relatively new and big. Why did 7-star rank 3 arrive so early? The explanation for that was that they did want it to be Necropolis, and they did want the first 7-star rank 3s to be earned rather than purchased, which is something that I commend them on. Unfortunately, obviously, that does have consequences in the sales and other things, which I not necessarily agree with the makeup of these events. I do not think, for instance, that it addresses the Banket Event being lackluster in the middle, because they still are including the rank 3s at the top tier rewards, and I'm not even talking about the rank 3 level rewards. I'm talking about the milestones and stuff like that. It does not, like, here is the bit where he kind of explained himself the weakest, I think, because anything and everything they said did not justify the mid-tier rewards being so crap. They said that they did want Necropolis to be the best source of rewards for, this time period of 6 months, which is perfectly fine and acceptable. It did not mean that Banket Event cannot have some more 6-star rank 4 to 5 rank up gems. It did not mean that it can have some 7-star rank 1 to 2 rank up gems or some more tier 6 basics or tier 6 CC. None of that stuff has anything to do with 7-star rank 3s. So I do think that, this was a bit of a bullshit, but fine, whatever. Whatever works is their justification for their Banket Event and ultimately their profit line. So what about the Gifted Guardian Crystal Champions? This is quite interesting because they're not really coming back. At least there is no plan to bring them back. So when the Gifted Guardian Crystal is going to go away after the Banquet Event, there is no set plan to, introduce them to the base pool or Titan pool or anything of the sort. They might appear in some other selectors or some other events as 7-stars, but he effectively said that these Gifted Guardian champions will likely not be attainable for in the next year. So that's going to be, just a point of note. If you do pull any of the champions in that crystal, it's going to be unlikely that you will be able to, dupe them or work on their signature levels, no matter how much money you spend, for a while. When are the AW incursions crystals being rotated? And again, this is not a great answer, but it at least brings us some clarification. The incursions and AW 7-star crystals are not going to get rotated effectively for a lifespan of about a year, which would put it around September, October. So if you are thinking of saving up your incursion artifacts or loyalty for whenever the new crystal is coming, don't. It's not going to happen again until September or October. Right, let's move on. Is there more endgame content coming? And yes, there is more endgame content coming. As early as February, March, we will have community arena challenges that 3 different content creators from the community have come up with. And there will be quite lots of endgame content coming shortly, obviously including Act 8.4 and some other challenges. They seem to be hoping to put the next year more content focused, which I'm all for. I definitely prefer overall most rewards being, earned rather than bought, and the more endgame content being out there. Absolutely love that. And an additional point of note: these Korean challenges will not include going back to Necropolis. So if you are potentially now thinking of, delaying your next Necropolis exploration until these Korean challenges come out, just like they did with Abyss, for instance, before, don't. Those challenges will have nothing to do with Necropolis specifically. Move on. How do you get the next Deathless Champion? And here we actually have a timeline of that as well. Because in January, we're going to get in-game message with 1 Deathless Champion piece, then Paragauntlet Challenge, which is going to be something quite interesting. So starting January, I believe, next year, every month, Paragauntlet will have some sort of challenge associated with it. This kind of reminds me of when we had the Cab or Thronebreaker difficulty challenge, for instance, do it with 4-star champion or do it with specifically tag champions or something of the sort. It is, again, going to be meant primarily for Valiant level players. Paragon players will have access to it, but they specifically said that these challenges will be tuned very hashtag specific, very champion specific, and will effectively be designed with the idea that you have access to pretty much every champion at the 6-star level. And that, largely would be Valiant players. So there will be a Paragauntlet challenge. Then there's going to be Community Karinas challenge, which we already talked about, which is coming February and March. We're going to have 2 different new challenges in March and April as well. So this also means that we will get the next Deathless Champion by April next year, so within a span of 4 months, effectively. And that would fit in a timeline of acquiring 3 new Deathless Champions over the course of 2024. Which I do look forward to. We'll see who else we get. Hopefully a bit different kits than the Guillotine, but okay, I'll leave that particular point, which they did not address, by the way, aside. Right. Okay. Also, point to note here, there will still be the 6-star piece available with the in-game currency, just like they are doing with the Guillotine, in case you are unable to go for the 7-star for one reason or another. Right. So let's move on to the next point. AW rates are going to be worth the effort. And well, obviously they are defending the game mode. There was no way. Like, this is kind of a silly question in my opinion, or a silly way to phrase it, because there is no way imaginable where Kabam is going to be releasing a new game mode and say that it's not going to be worth doing. Right? Realistically. They're making it. Obviously, they're going to say it's worth doing. So this is, again, one of those things where I would have phrased the question differently, because they effectively talked about a different thing. And that is the fact that they didn't actually mention another avenue of rewards in Alliance raids, which is going to be called the raid loot. Whenever you finish a boss or a mini-boss, there's going to be a tile that you step on, and that lets you earn some random rewards, including a random chance for a 7-star Ultron. So that was kind of missing from those things. And I'm kind of surprised that we forgot or missed it out. But yeah, that did not get really covered anywhere. But fair enough. Again, I'm personally not super hyped about the raids as a game mode so far based on what I have read. Now, it could be the case that it, becomes my favorite thing to do, or I absolutely love it. The way it's presented, though, with having entry costs and alliance, modes, just basically have gotten rid of it, and also the 10% damage cap that effectively KOs you, and you will likely be forced to spend items on whatever is happening in that raid week. I know. I'm just gonna say how my reservations, but bringing up this extra bit of rewards that we didn't necessarily include with what Kabam showed us, it could be the difference maker. Who knows? But I want to love the raids. I'm just cautious at the moment. Now, how many Necropolis cheaters got put to the sword? And it does turn out that there have been 2,440 players banned for cheating in Necropolis, and apparently they did effectively create Necropolis differently than the rest of the game is set up, and that enables them to catch more cheaters, which is quite interesting. I'm not too savvy with the tech they are bringing, but ultimately, if that does allow them to catch some people who have been cheating for a very, very long time and gotten away with it, I'm all for it. And hopefully, maybe at some point they can do the same in Battlegrounds, or relaunch Battlegrounds with that tech embedded in there, because that is definitely a game mode where cheating still occurs. And I think Kabam has let go of Alliance War cheaters for sure. But they still say that obviously they are continuing the work in all the other game modes in regards to cheating, which they have been. Ultimately, the situation with the cheaters has gotten infinitely better than it was a year ago in regards of arena modders, in regards of amount of cheaters in Battlegrounds, and virtually all the other game modes. So let's give them credit where credit is due. They are doing much, much, much better right now than they were a year ago. Are things perfect? No. Will they ever get perfect? Who knows? But there's progress. And the last one, what champions are you giving us? That's the champion for giveaway, which is effectively the piggy, which I actually entered the giveaway and I was hoping to dupe my 7-star piggy, but obviously I didn't win. I haven't won any of these giveaways. Well, I haven't won any of the giveaways they have done so far. Not that I have tried to win the previous ones of this particular set, but the monthly ones. Anyways, still have yet to win anything in those giveaways. But those are the bits of new information that we received from Kabam John. And again, this was ultimately even more informative than the previous actual proper live stream that they did for the upcoming month. I think because now we know about several of the challenges coming. We know exact timeline of the next Deathless Champion. We have clarification of Alliance, loyalty and incursion, 7-star crystals, and a whole bunch more things. So, if you have any questions, do not hesitate to ask. If I can answer them, I will. And other than that, I hope you guys found this video useful and informative. And I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye. Hello there, guys, and welcome back to the channel. So we have all the information